Administrations and Mindsets. We've got a really exciting show for you guys today. I'm joined with, on this episode, Ethan Castilla, Lillian, and Jonathan. It should be another great episode. We have tons of topics we cover. We hit everything from the new administration and how that could affect businesses and small businesses. We talk about mindsets and laziness and really talk about how we think that's plaguing a lot of people right now currently. We also talk about our tools for how we self-motivate ourselves and keep focused in a crazy and treacherous time that we are living in nowadays. And then lastly, we move on to talk a little bit about business grants, and then we contemplate the value of money at the end of the show. So it's a really exciting one. I think you can really tell and listen as you get deeper into the show that we really open up and we're really starting to feel natural and just sort of reflect ourselves. And I'm really excited again to just see the show grow and sort of see us play and mold our format as well as molding the content that we produce for you guys. So without any further ado, let's get into this episode, and I hope you like everything you hear. Peace!
Welcome to A Humanistic Perspective, Episode 5. Today it is January 20th, 2021. What a great day to be alive. This is one of your main hosts, Ethan, and I'm joined by
Chad Castilla,
Lillian Claire,
and Jonathan Dufresne.
What a great day. So today we're just going to get into some light topics. We're going to go all over the place. It's going to be an open conversation. But Chad, if no further more, let's start off and tell us a little bit about the tea we're drinking today.
Yeah, so this is episode 5, and up until now, we have yet to feature a single tea on the show. So I thought we'd start with one of the classic brands, and we are drinking one of the Lipton homemade teas.
You mean Lipton?
Lipton, my bad. Did I say Limpton?
Limpton.
Oh, right, man.
Limpton.
Under the London.
Lipton. We're drinking their green tea infused with passion fruit. So if you guys want to take a sip, maybe tell me how it's going, how it's tasting.
I already
it's
have.
our first tea of the day. How do you guys feel about teas?
I enjoy tea more at night, whereas coffee, I definitely enjoy it more in the morning, for sure.
I was very shocked that a tea could have this much flavor without any added things in it. So this is, I feel like I get a lot of different mixed tastes on this tea.
Yeah, now, Lil, you are our common tea drinker. Do you want to maybe take a sip and tell us how you're feeling about this tea as you drink one pretty much every episode, no matter whether we have coffee or not?
should I make it a nice loud sip?
Sure, why don't we do some ASMR for the people?
It's not going to really be ASMR, but okay. Oh, God.
Is it too hot for you?
Yep. I took a sip and it burned me.
It's getting
it was,
hot in here.
It tasted like water because it hasn't brewed enough.
Oh, you think it needs
But,
to steep longer?
Otherwise, the passion fruit, passion fruit's one of those things that I've never actually tried by themselves. But whenever I try them, try it in different foods, I can always distinctly tell that it's that fruit.
Wait, passion fruit is an actual fruit?
Yeah,
Have
it's
you
an
never
actual
seen
fruit.
a passion fruit?
Wow.
It's like a pink little ball with a tip.
And where are these
Or no,
grown?
that's a grapefruit. Maybe.
You don't know what
Argentina.
you don't
and
know what
Brazil.
what Drake preaches about in his song.
Passion fruit?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a Dutch.
It's such a good song.
But yeah, no. So today, let's start off with this topic and get right into it. It's Inauguration Day. How are we feeling about it? I mean, I saw some footage. I believe the Capitol right now it's pretty much, it's like a castle. It's on lockdown. There's a lot of security, a lot of stuff
I will
going
say
on.
that earlier today, I just got an overwhelming sense of just calm. And I don't know if it was because of the place that I was in, but I also happened to think about the new presidency and just the new change going on. And for just a second, I just felt calm and peaceful. And then I started thinking about all the bad things that could happen. So why don't you guys go into that?
Yeah, well, I think talking to James this morning, he's a very rural man.
Sure.
But he will be helping actually take a lead role in our Prismatic Solutions company. And he brought up the point of where we possibly might see in the Biden administration the shutdown of the pipeline from Canada that Canada owns.
Is that the gas pipeline?
Correct.
Oh, that'll be so fantastic. That's amazing. That's an amazing thing happening.
That's an amazing thing happening if someone has to pay for it, right? So by doing this, now gas costs are going to start to increase to, back to seeing that $4 to $5 a gallon.
That's amazing because it's going to promote electronic cars and stuff like that in a
Great. And
more
how many people-
environmentally friendly
And how many people have
world.
to travel over 170 miles a day, and the average consumer cannot pay for the farthest range Tesla
Not
now?
right now, not with COVID and
Right, so
everything
that's a great
going
thing
on.
right now? I don't think so. I
I think it's a great thing because it'll definitely push companies to start changing, and I think we need that immediately.
I think it'll be interesting. You know, I see it more from the economic standpoint as inflation comes and goes, right? So as the price of one commodity goes up, the price of another might go down. But it's going to be unique. In the short term, it's going to fucking suck, right? Prices going up, and I don't want to pay $4.50
But
a
nothing's
gallon. I drive a
forever.
pickup
Great.
truck.
Now look at this. Most businesses who rely on this, looking particularly to my medical transportation company, my costs have now times 2.5. So now I'm making a profit margin of not even a third. Right? But now, remember, our agenda's getting our $15 minimum wage, right? Well, I can't pay for your increased gas, like the gas cost, plus minimum $15 an hour wage.
Right. It puts you
So
in a
now
sticky
what am I
predicament.
going to do? Find anything I can autonomousize so I don't have to pay for laborers. Oh, now you're going to complain your job's gone? Well, you wanted it.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're making a lot of ties here, but it's going to be difficult, I think, as a business person and an innovator, like when you see a move towards or the potential of initiatives like this, it can really be devastating, and it could be very, very risky in its own regard, I feel like.
And it's interesting to see just as old jobs are taken out by new technologies, how new jobs are created by that same
you
technology.
can say there's new technologies and new jobs being created, but the amount of industries that are being diminished in this daily need. And then we look for this now. Biden's planning to put in a 1.9 trillion?
1.9, yeah,
Right?
1.9
And
trillion.
why do you think that wasn't passed with previous President Trump? Because
It's a
there's a
lot
lot
of
of stuff
money.
in that bill that's going to the wrongful needs. Over $900 million are being put towards China. China. Do you know how much money that could help with our small businesses? The people that are fending for their lives, the people that have spent years and years of building their family businesses to support those who want a good wage.
I would just like to say that I think a lot of the jobs that have gone to China, I think should be brought back into the United States, but it'll just bring up prices a lot more.
Do you think that with Biden, we're going to become with stricter policy and having more of those things brought back to the U.S. countries? Those things that have now gone overseas, you think with a Biden administration, those are going to come back?
Well, they weren't going to come back with a Trump administration
Well,
either.
Right, because he wasn't the one that wasn't working on policies harder than any other president. Strictly with China.
With Biden, though, I'm not sure exactly what he's doing in regards to your question. That would be something we would look up, which I think Chad is right now at the moment. So why don't you give your insight on that once you...
Jake, how about you talk about some of the agendas and plans that Biden's been that have scared you, maybe?
It's also for any corporations. I mean,
talk about the tax increase from 21%
21%
for
to 28% for corporations. And
Which has been done before. It happened. The last time
Sure.
it happened was like I believe 2006. We were at that rate. We were in that range.
yeah, which
how
was
do you think Biden care if that comes will affect our companies?
well, I'm
And
not
the
sure.
medical industry.
Well, I'm not sure because with Obamacare, when that was initiated, it really strained the states' budgets, which allowed for there to be less money given to NEMT providers. So I'm just very interested because I don't personally. Biden hasn't really come out with a guaranteed plan for his health care. I haven't really seen it at all in terms of what his plans are for Biden care. I mean, anytime he's talked about it in any of the interviews, he's very vague, and I don't know. I
think it's funny when you look at China. Okay.
President-elect Joe Biden inherits a health crisis.
Sorry about that, folks. I'm on CNN, and they had a pop-up here. I'm just trying to read through, see if I can find out what's happening with the spending here. And across multiple sources, it looks like, we're going to see $1,400 per person. What?
$1,400 per person, sure, but
We're going to see enhanced unemployment aid. They're
Well,
looking
the
to
thing
do
is-
about $400 per week.
the
and
thing
who's
is
paying back that
rental
trillions of
assistance
dollars?
of about $25 billion.
Why are we giving money to people when people can still get a job, when I see places still saying hiring and people are instead sitting on their asses, collecting from the government and trying to go around and use this system when there's jobs available, don't complain. Get your ass up and work.
Well,
I'm sick of everyone having everything wanted and handed
Well,
to
the
them.
thing-
It's not
well, the-
how life works.
Well, the thing is, though, is that Ethan, I mean, you could say that for the average job person that, yeah, I lost my job, but what if it was like your situation with the business initially with COVID where you lost your whole business?
Right. Then I was willing to go out and find any other ways of means of making money. I didn't sit on my ass and rely on the government. I went and applied to go find jobs I could work in stores that were still hiring. I did anything to support my businesses and keep them alive. Because I'm not one to fend. I'm one to go get it for myself because I know
The problem
nothing's
is
handed.
too is I think you're making a starch generalization that everyone can conform their mental state to this exact philosophy style in which you live in, and that's where it's hard. That's where I think this is the education system too, to some degree.
I
is
mean, it all
lack
trends
of
down to all
motivation.
that. But again, there's a lot of those things that shouldn't have ever happened that have led people to be in these positions.
So I'm not making any excuses for someone who's just sitting at home trying to just collect a check and not go out when they could get a job. But I'm just saying a lot of people are affected mentally with this COVID thing to the point where they are terrified to go out their door because they think they're going to die.
Well, that's because it's also been rigged by the media and
Well-
everyone's fearing for their lives for reasons. I'm not saying COVID isn't real. I think it is.
Yes,
But
it
again,
is.
you can't be living your life in for fear. Again, I'm one to believe this is my personal opinion. So again, it's my opinion. But I think everything happens for a reason. And if you're going to keep living your life within fear, because I know I'm not going to take the vaccine as a person, right? So what is going to change my state in my life over the next 3 years? And that's my personal decision, right? So I'm still going to be precautious. I still wear a mask and put in the regulations. Do I agree with some of that stuff? No, because if you look at the filtration and how COVID spread, I mean, there's really no relevance there either. But if it makes others feel comfortable, I'm going to do that to respect them. Okay? But again, why would you continue to live in fear when this is going to be an everyday situation? I think, especially for many young people, I mean, if there's any fear with younger people, I mean, the amount of the survival rate for our kind of age of people is so high. Now, sure, if you have, like cautious, or if you
People that are vulnerable.
yeah, people that are vulnerable or have, these diseases or things that may make them even more vulnerable, sure, I would worry. But again, if you're I just don't see the point in living for fear. That's my thing, I guess.
Some people are afraid to get a job because they're afraid of their own life. Some people are afraid to get a job because they're afraid of their parents' life and they're afraid of elderly people
Or you can make
that
more
they
money
live
on
with.
being unemployment, and that's what they like, not being, that's the other thing too.
That's some people, but it's not everyone,
Yeah.
You guys, I wanted to bring this up from my readings today. So currently I'm in a class that we're learning about Buddhism and the origins of that culture. And we're talking so heavily about mental state and how humans are we're sort of our own being and our own like demise. And there's this quote that I wanted to read here. And it was from the text of Mara, which is when Buddha when Buddha was going through his journey of realization, this was something that came to him, and Mara spoke to him and said, your first army, or your first enemy in this regard, is desire. Your second army is discontent. Your third army is hunger and thirst. Your fourth army is ceaseless clingingness. Your fifth army is laziness and sleep. Your sixth army is fear. Your seventh army is doubt. And your eighth army is pretense and stubbornness. And I really think these simplistic concepts and these fears that are holistic and transcend across all of our own humanistic experiences that we go through are really at the core root and to blame for why some of these things and why people don't get off the couch and do it. And I really think if we spent more time trying to come to a conscious understanding or really learn the ins and outs of who we are, why we are, and how we can change that, I think we would,
I
we would
agree.
grow
I
and
think
get
people
so
need
much
to open
further.
up and be vulnerable. Stop living in this hidden fear. I hate, and that's a strong word. When I come across people that have an opinion, and in front of me, they're going to act with a certain mood of sadness or disappointment, or they're not expressing their feelings. Okay, when you're not being vulnerable, how are people supposed to understand how you're feeling? Okay, So many people are scared of being vulnerable. And
Yeah, it's something that's very hard for a lot of humans to do, but I think that it's the most human thing that we can do is just to be fully self-aware, and that's something that's very hard for a lot of people to accomplish.
Are there things that you guys do or some tips or tricks you could think of off the top of your head that could help someone get closer to this type of lifestyle?
I would find one person that you can trust. Start off with that. One person you can trust and open up to. Express your feelings and stuff like that, okay? One of the biggest things is growing up in the household I did and facing all the different challenges and diversities we did in our household, right? I tended to just bottle everything up. Bottle everything up in the sense of I was able to, the things that were happening in my life, I was able to come up with an explanation of the reason of why those that made me content in the moment. Okay. And all those things were learning processes for me. And now where I've gotten to a certain point, I've been able to still remember all those things and those things that I bottled up, but now being able to express them in a different way for me to get past that being a personal block. So I think it's starting off with yourself and figuring out yourself and being honest with yourself. And then being able to put in a position of.
But how do you be honest with yourself? I think
that's a great question.
How do you? Because I think I know, but I just want to hear your
you,
perspective of how do you be honest with yourself?
Like the statements I make, right? Again, I live with no regret. I say what I feel in my mind because that is a feeling I'm
right.
having.
We're asking how you got there.
How do I get there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just do it.
So for me, one way that I really try to assess and know what and how I'm feeling
think about
is that
for another episode.
I will just honestly, I'll just sit there for a long time. And if someone says something to me that like kind of triggers me, then I'll like stop. And it's usually an uncomfortable feeling. I'll feel it like where I would always say my heart is, but your heart is more to the left rib cage. But just in the middle of my chest, I would just feel this like kind of just like squeezing feeling. And that makes me know that like I was uncomfortable or that I didn't like whatever someone said. And so then I would just think it over and think, what was it? Like, what about it? And then it just depends on the situation. I can't say what anyone's situation is, but then I'll just come to the conclusion of what it was, and I'll either accept it inside of myself or I'll bring it out and I'll say something to someone when I'm comfortable. But really the part that is difficult for me is to initially say something after I realize what it is, because coming to the conclusion of figuring out what upset me is easy, but then saying something is something that I have trouble with just because of my anxiety.
Nice.
Sure. Yeah, and there's dwelling deep down because I've also known a lot of people have personal experiences which get to a point of that.
Mm-hmm.
And which is where I need to have more understanding. But again, me, which is different because not everyone's story is the same, and you have to be willing to acknowledge that. And I am willing to acknowledge that, and it's hard some for my hard mind because I'm such a strong person,
Right.
I would say. But I'm not even a strong person. I break down. I mean, you have to break down.
Yes. I would say...
But like one of the big things is
Go for it.
if you were to fail, right, or living in the past, things that have happened in the past that have bothered you, right? Or let's say you had a bad relationship with someone you had a really good relationship with, something bad happened, right? When that happens, would you be scared to confront that person? Would you run from it? Would you block it? What would you do? When that happens, what do you guys personally each do? I would love to hear your opinion. When something in your past that was a bad moment in your life, of something you're scared of and don't want to think of, do you bottle it up, or what is your way of action? Because I have a thing that goes catered to this. How do you deal with that? Or what does that mean to you as a person? How do you?
I think naturally, and specifically during my freshman year of college, the human instinct and my instinct was to bottle it up, like you were going for, like what you were trying to get at there, was to initially take it all in and just live in it and own it and just sort of dwell and drench myself in those thoughts rather than doing something about it. But it wasn't until I really started contemplating, until I took time instead of dwelling, I used that same time to think critically on the same thought. And when I just changed literally just the lens that I processed the exact same thoughts through, and I finally confronted it. So what you're saying is, in the end, I think you do need to confront it. But
Great.
I think
And
the
that's a great
problem,
point, but there's
the
even
hard
more to
part
that.
is understanding that. I think what people could really take away from this is understanding that your gut And when you sit and you are contemplating, it's probably telling you a truth. And sometimes it is scary to look in the reflection and see that truth. But seeing that truth is the only way you're going to break that mirror.
Sure. Jake,
Yeah, I think that to go off of that, I think everyone has self-esteem.
what is your personal? I guess I'm asking everyone's personal opinion, then we can go into more detail there.
about like what my thought process is?
When a thing in the past has put you in a way of thinking bad or something you're scared of in the past, how do you deal with that?
At this point, I've realized that I have to just face it completely and do it all, do the whole 9 yards, everything, all the way through, feeling bad about it, learning it.
So you almost
accepting
have
it.
like I hate to say this word because I don't want to use it, but like a grieving process with coming to terms.
Yeah, coming to terms. Like I feel like it's a waste of my time for it to just continue to just banter in my head.
So what is
when
the
I
process?
could be,
You were just starting to say it a little bit.
yeah. So it's like if I had like something big that happened to me, like for example with like when I was going through my parents' divorce or something like that. There were a lot of times where I just didn't feel like I was, I didn't feel like I was like strong enough to deal with it. And so what I did is I just questioned myself. I just said, why? Why am I feeling these things? And I could never validate any of the feelings that I was having. I kept just realizing that everything that we do, all of our thoughts are just, we're a Ferrari engine. Whenever we have a thought, it multiplies and gets even stronger and stronger and stronger until it's the most extreme version of what you're feeling. And then that's when you realize, wait a minute, I'm controlling that. I am in control of my own feelings.
Can I go to the psychological side of that once you're done?
Yeah, sure thing. But I'm in control of my own feelings. It's one of the only things that I am in control of. There are so many things that I've realized that I can't control anymore. And I've learned to just let those things go.
Great, and that's great. You have to let them go. Lily, before we touch on that, because I think that would be a great aspect after the next point, I want to make, what do you personally, those things and things in your life?
Well, so I wanted to say really quick that the brain situation that he was talking about is actually your brain just being lazy. And so once you have a thought, your brain sends off the same synapse because that's what it's used to. And so it's literally a difficult process
like
to
eating fast
rewire
food.
your brain. Yes.
Yeah. Like being sad, being tired, being lazy is a synapse and chemical problem. It can get to that point, just like anything else.
What was the question again, Ethan?
When you deal with things in the past that bother you or you're scared of, how do you deal with those things as a person and to move forward?
So I would say the most difficult thing that I have dealt with in my life is really just trusting people. And so in that sense, I mean, when I was younger, like I had two best friends that kind of screwed me over. And for the rest of my life, I just thought that everyone was against me, besides the fact that I just was getting bullied when I was younger. But
would you be scared to see those people that did that to you again?
No.
Would you not want to see them?
I wouldn't be scared because I've already talked to them about it. And if I had a situation where it was myself that was rude to other people, I hope at least that I've hatched that out with everyone, because I don't like leaving bad vibes or anything like
confronts
that.
her things head on.
That's good.
Once I'm comfortable with it, I do.
You have to get to that point of comfort.
She needs
Yes.
comfortability.
Yes, because it does take me a long time to
But
get
notice
to the
how it's
comfortable spot.
It's about getting comfortable. It's not dwelling. It's not necessarily like that you're living in it and you're going to allow that to just send you into depression. You live with it. You kind of acknowledge it and you say, I'm not necessarily ready for this yet, but I'm not going to allow it to depress me. I know I'm going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So how I handle these situations, the main thing, okay? When I have something I'm scared of or dwell in the past, right? That comfort in my head, I realize that comfort is not going to mean anything. I can feel comfort. That's going to make me feel better inside and great. But if I'm going to get past this moment and get past it the fastest so I can continue on with living in the moment and not dwelling a second on the past, it is to find any opportunity to learn from that failure or that thing that scares me. Learn from it and then move forward. That's it. If you don't find a way of learning from that confrontation, that is the point. You have to learn and move forward. Yes, the past is scary.
But
yes,
you can
the
never
problems
time
are-
travel. That's what I've gone over in my head multiple millions of times, is that I wish I could go back and change this. I wish I could go back and do this instead of that. And really you can't. You just have to move on. And that's where all the things that have bothered me in my life, I just try to accept them and I try to say, okay, this is what's happened. This is how we move on. And sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes I can say that about 50 times in my head before it actually happens, before I actually believe it and really feel it. But
You have to fake it till you make it.
exactly.
And I think until people start to do this on a regular basis, until you can realize as a person that I can do this, I can move past this, right? For me, it was all these moments and all these things I've dealt with that have been so horrific in my life. I've realized I could get past it, which has now made me to the point of where my brain can think of these things so fast and get past these moments, right? So you have to be vulnerable in a sense which you're willing to move past these and recognize this. And that's what makes me be able to think of all these things so fast and move forward. Any problems that arise, I'm able to do that. But that's because I've known from the past how these situations work, and I know I'm going to get past this moment. So now what am I going to take out of this to learn from it and go towards the future?
Yeah. It's go ahead, Jonathan. I can't remember.
Oh, what I was going to say is like everyone has self-esteem. Everyone deals with it on a daily basis. Whether you say you don't, you do. Everyone has insecurities. Everyone has self-esteem.
100%.
But it's what you do with that self-esteem that matters the most. You can either take that self-esteem and self-deprecate, or you can take that self-esteem and, like you said, learn from it, self-improve yourself.
I would
And I
say
think-
that you're your own cheerleader. You're the only one that you truly
You are.
know 100%
But
what
this
the
is
thoughts
thing.
are in
I
your
think
head.
You can have cheerleaders, and this is where I say the aspect of who you surround yourself with allows you to come to this
But
point.
like a
If
cheerleader,
you're
I mean,
surrounding
is
yourself, if you're surrounding
thinking
yourself,
positively.
sure, yes, but there's other people. If you're surrounding yourselves with the right people that should be around you, you're gonna have those cheerleaders. Where people say you're really bottom line down to yourself, you are. But then if you can choose as a person to surround yourself with those people that are going to build you up for the person you are at that moment, and then realizing that those people like that were building you up 5 years ago are not the same people that need to be around you to build you up now, unless they're on the same level than you. And people get so scared of
Change.
relationships and change in relationships. You got to understand that you're growing as a person, and those people may not be growing, but you be grateful for that moment and that time you had with that person because they developed you into the person you are today. That's what you're grateful for.
I would say that I'm very grateful for you guys around me right now just because you motivate me to get up every morning and work out and then work hard and make sure I'm working diligently. Whereas that's something that I've definitely struggled with is staying on focus, staying on task, and it's something that I'm working harder to get to every single day, and it's a struggle.
Yeah, I
man.
agree. I very much have. I feel like I could always work harder, and I always am like thinking about ways that I could improve myself. But I feel like that's a great mindset to have, is to never be satisfied with the work that you're doing and always wanting more. That's how the most successful people have
And
always
you
lived.
You shoot for the highest. I always shoot with high optimism. Because when you put yourself in the presence of you're already there and you can believe in it, you see the vision. When you allow these, receptors or these moments of possible disappointment, that's what will knock you down because you're setting limits on yourself of what you're capable of.
And the thing is, those little setbacks are the things that make you think the most and that really decide and drive your path, I would say. Is that either you learn from those bad things that happen and you become a stronger person, or like we've been saying, you just dwell in it.
Yeah. No, I think I think that's a great human understanding there of something maybe we deal with every day. But
Yeah, cool. I wanted to bring up, I recently watched with Lily a Netflix documentary called Icarus.
I also watched
kinda
that as
fell
well.
asleep.
Jonathan was there with us as well. Yes. Very, very interesting. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I just want to give a little context. It has been taken to trial. It's gone through the court system. It's gone through the Olympic system. And it is known that Russia was involved in state-sponsored doping of hundreds upon hundreds of Olympic athletes, all the way dating back as far as 1968, up and through 2018, I believe, is when the final court case was being processed and going through the system. It is insane to me how simplistic, and if anyone hasn't seen the documentary, basically it opens up with this documentary guy. Let me see if I can find his name. He wants to see and learn how doping works, right? He was curious more about Lance Armstrong and how he doped himself through all these bicycle races, and that came out. And he wanted to see, is it possible to pass these tests and to fake them? Well, through that process, he got connected to this Russian doctor who is in head of the firm that would test for the Olympics for the entire Russian team. And he was ordered by Putin, by all the higher ups of the formerly known KGB, to be conducting and going through this. And it was happening all the way through Sochi when they hosted the Olympics there. I mean, it is crazy. Everyone, the swim team was doped. The fucking everyone, over 30 athletes for the Sochi Olympics were doped. The track and field team, everyone, pretty much everyone but the figure skaters. And it's really funny because I was listening to an episode of Rogan, and the guy who made the documentary was on, and he says,
Oh, wait,
the
when
only
was it?
reason the only reason the figure skaters weren't doped was because it actually threw off the extra testosterone and all that, threw off their coordination on the ice.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like all that extra would kind of make the muscles spasm a
But
little bit.
could you believe the biggest thing, the thing that brings some countries that are so small, all of their significance, all of their worth in this world has just been built on cheating, lying, deceiving.
I mean, that's our whole world. That's why I have no crazy amusement to that. I mean, we see that every day in everything. People are we are living in a time of manipulation.
Some people are just better at hiding it than others.
When you look at Jeffrey Epstein, how many years did it take us to figure that
Yeah.
out? Come on now, guys. Like, you gotta, like, this is normal stuff. We could bring this up with every topic, every world issue. Everything is bad. I mean, look at the SBA, even with the or the EIDL grants. Okay, businesses, right? The grants that are being received, which are millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, billions. The EIDL grants are being delayed because of a change of CEOs, right? They're delaying months or literally like, over 21 days because they knew that the rollout of someone else doing it in that position would cause significant things, right? And you got to realize these points. There's a lot of bad leaders in this world.
Now, do you think the interesting topic I wanted to bring up with this is, like, if this has been happening, clearly every other country's probably doing it to some extent, or trying to, or thinking of how to. So do you think we should change the sports? Should the Olympics be the best of the best, doping or not? Like, would you want to watch that? Like, would you want to see all contestants being extremely doped out, like
I
the
feel
most
like-
physical
because
athletes they could be?
that's not what you were born here for. When you start to put those enhancers, I mean, you were born and made a person.
But what do you say to the people who say, well, life is about advancing, similar with your business, and these athletes just want to be able to perform and
At the-
give a show
at the best.
at
Sure.
the best extent?
And that's another thing where I look at, like, again, one thing, how we were talking about Elon Musk in the past show? I don't honestly think I would be ready to talk to Elon Musk. I feel like my knowledge is not far enough along.
So minuscule compared to his.
Yeah, I don't think I would prefer to talk to Elon Musk in 6 years rather than this year. Maybe not 6 years, but again, like,
I used to say the same thing too, though, with Dave Matthews. Is like I used to say even to Jonathan, I don't want to meet him unless I can meet him like just as Chad. Like, I just want to meet Dave as Chad and be able to have a beautiful, deep, philosophical and intellectual conversation with someone who just understands me and sees me as a human first,
Not a
as a
fan.
fan.
yes.
Not as someone that just gawks and say,
We're
"You're so
humans.
amazing."
We are humans. We're here. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy to me. I mean, when you think of just how messed up the world we're living in is, it's like we need to get back to touch. People need to wake up. I mean, people are being taken advantage of by it.
But I think this is something too that is far bigger and has far more reach than just the generation we're living in. I don't think that necessarily when we say, for us, this is a time of instrumental change because it's our first time at seeing the corruption. It's our first time up at dealing with all of these problems. But
It's been
to
going
people
on
who are
for
80,
generations.
for them, it's a fucking status quo. I'm sure they thought these same thoughts when they were young, and they had these same prophetic feelings, but nothing got done for them.
The
So
one statement I will agree with, which that is, the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. Okay, you can be in that wealthy position. So I don't really have any empathy for people that aren't in those situations, but I would agree with the situation of the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. And that's because when you have wealth, you have power. When you have wealth, you most assumingly have knowledge. And that puts you in a position farther more than, it puts you in a position where you're far more ahead than most people are.
But the question is when these richer people have
They
more
have
wealth,
control, and then
have
there's
more.
bad people that have wealth. And those bad people are getting in position to control.
Right. But what I'm saying though is that when you have when you have a total of like 10 to 50, like when you have 50 people that control probably about 25% of the world's wealth, do you think that that's
Equitable.
equitable? And I'm not
I
saying
think
that
there's
it
a
should
point,
be.
There's a point
and I'm
to
not.
monopolization. There is.
And I'm not saying
But I
that.
also know that if I was in that same position, right, I would use the funds and disperse of the funds way differently because I think at a point. But I also think there's a lot of things that are blocking. Again, we don't really know where these guys are dividing their wealth. I hate to base my opinion off of the media. Okay, until I'm able to talk to that person in person, understand where they're coming from as a person, I hate to put an opinion and stipulation out there of something where I don't know the full truth of. I mean, that's why I like to just express my thoughts and then try to figure out, are my thoughts accurate or not? And that's where I love to, I don't like when people have confrontation with someone and they're not willing to listen and learn, because I think that's what's important.
I wish we lived in a perfect world where all billionaires and trillionaires, millionaires gave their money to good programs that help
But what do you
progress
consider a good program?
the universe. I would say a high-speed rail system. I'd say vertical farming, cultivation in order to help the country. I would say farming and
there's
hemp.
millionaires.
Hey, have her finish.
I would say going into Africa and replanting all the trees and making sure that everyone in Africa has clean water, and make sure all the other poor countries in the world have water and food, and that they're able to make their country as big as America, because there shouldn't just be huge world powers. We should all be a world power, and we should all be able to
Right.
enhance
And then you
each
could
other.
look to our governments
That
of
would be
where their
a
misspending is
perfect
going
world.
to. When you look at our governments and the amount of people that are taking personal gains within your government. So I would not even touch the private sector until you start disciplining your government sectors.
I just
Our
want to say
government
that
sectors don't distribute their wealth into positions that could benefit so many more people. We're giving money to China and other foreign countries because they have stuff on us. We're giving them money strictly because it's payoffs. What if that money went to those causes you're saying? Right? And then we rely on the private sector separately. And I think there is plenty of private sector people that are investing in many of those initiatives already that you're saying.
but not enough.
Well, it's not enough because
when
it's
you
not
look
the
at 'em-
private sector's problem. It
Right,
should be
exactly.
our governments that are getting involved.
Like people they want people that worked their asses off for the things they have to go and fix all of everyone's problems. No, get your lazy fucking ass up
However-
and work for your goddamn self.
However, I
Jesus.
would say, though, that capitalism and this whole system is in place so that way ingenuity and the private sector does want to solve these problems.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they have the choice to if they want to. They
when
have the
you-
choice to do what they want to
Yeah,
do with their
absolutely.
money.
I think
Yes.
that there should be a cap on how much money you can make, and then the rest goes back into government, just so then someone can have enough money that they can live
Oh
the
my
life they
God,
want to.
I would
and
do
with
that
statement
as long as
so
the
much.
for
government
rest of their
is.
life.
Wait,
As-
1% at a time.
As long as the government is still putting it towards these other projects I just said before, that would be a perfect world. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously this isn't going to happen, but just thinking about it, like, that would be amazing if they actually had to do that. Like, it doesn't make sense why people can have billions of dollars that they'll never use. That doesn't make any sense. That
Never
doesn't
use. Okay, when
benefit
people look
anyone.
at a net worth of someone, do they think that's actual cash, liquid capital that's sitting around and ready to be invested? Do you
Probably only
understand that
10%
liquid
to
capital and
20%.
assets are being developed and within a company? Okay, that money is not just cash sitting in someone's bank account.
So it's not real. Like the
Right.
money is
Correct.
real, but like it's not.
But
Which is
it's not real.
It's not real as in
It's valued.
Elon
as
Musk said
money.
it best. Money is just literally
Paper
data that we
created by
can use
sociology.
to collect and understand transactional processes. That's all. That's all money really is. It's just a data collector. It's
We
just
put
a
worth
computer
into
system.
it's a when you look at it at the end of the day, it's a paper bill. Okay, in the
and
U.S.
it has worth because of society.
put it-
because
we've
we
put worth.
decided it has value,
Yes, exactly.
There's not even a gold standard anymore because Nixon got rid of that.
Seriously.
which is ridiculous. It's literally worth nothing. Even gold is not worth anything, or diamonds. It's just someone decided this is this much because it's pretty and shiny, and
I mean,
that's how
gold
much
has
this is
actual
going to
value
cost.
when it comes to depreciation of weight and stuff and skill. I mean, that's how
I would say things that are valuable are things that you can actually use, like food, water. That should be what we're using our money for, but we're going to use some
What do you mean?
paper. I mean, it's not actually viable to use money, I mean, as food and water, but like in terms of making money, cloth, something that's worth something, then why not put it towards food or water, like having, okay, this food is worth this much money or whatever. Or if you're really good at baking, like the top baker, then your food is worth a lot versus if you're shit at it. You know what I mean? Just one way to describe it.
I don't understand that.
Food is worth a lot because we need to eat every single day and
It's
we
a
need to drink
necessity.
every day.
Money is paper.
So
we
what,
don't.
now everyone has to create their own food in order to have money?
That'd be lit, wouldn't it?
Not really. I don't.
No,
see
it
It would be
it
an
would-
interesting economic.
Yeah,
bartering
it'd be
system.
interesting, but
I don't think.
not
I think
feasible.
there should be a
Everything I'm
currency- there
talking
should
about
be
is
a
just my own
currency
little
system.
world of what I want. Go ahead, sorry.
I think there should be a currency system. I just don't think we're in the right currency system. I mean, I want to get to the point of where we're putting in camps now in Germany, possible camps of if you're not taking the COVID vaccine, you're getting put into a camp similar to a concentration camp. Okay, those are the things we should be talking about.
Well,
But
let's talk about it then.
We talk so freaking minusculely. I mean, not us, but I'm saying this world focuses on all the minuscule. We're living in an ongoing simulation. I mean, literally, politics and of what we see as people is a reality TV show and nothing more.
Yeah, we're living in a contemplative drama / comedy, and quite literally, there's only some key player roles, and the rest of us are. The
We don't
audience.
even really know who truly the leaders
richest
are.
people are. I mean,
Well, actually, the richest people actually live in China, and they're so rich that they literally have paid off the government to just live in the shadows. So we really don't know who the rich.
How many would you like if you took a guess? Like, would you say there's
Oh,
over
a
10
lot.
of these people?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And so, yeah, Elon Musk, you might be the world's richest person right now, but that's just only on actual paper. But the richest people in
no,
the
I would
world,
say not even on paper, publicly.
yeah, publicly, we will have no idea who the actual richest people ever are. If you think that the CEO of Foxconn is not living in some high end place on the coast of China, you're kidding yourself.
It's funny though, in terms of like rich people, because in every single movie where there's a disaster, all the rich people are saved first, and then everyone else is like, "Oh well, good luck."
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, that is in a lot of,
I mean, that's kind of real life too, though, if you think about it.
yeah. I mean, it is to a certain degree, I'd say.
Because they're smarter. I mean, wealth creates knowledge. But I also think there's a lot of people that are very smart that have no wealth. And that's because they've given up.
There's a
and
lot
I think
of
when
people
you
with
give
wealth
up,
that are
Well, they might
stupid.
not have given up. They might see building wealth and growing their career as fruitless, as something that's a waste of your time, when really the true enlightenment and the true sinking is just understanding and having the knowledge for yourself, because they might see that you can't change everyone else.
but this is the thing again. People, they're fine being content. I'm literally not content until I'm above all of the bad in this world. You know what I'm saying? We got to get to the reason why I work so hard is so I can get through all of this past this fake stuff, or be hopeful
you're right.
that eventually I can.
This is a huge thing. I'm looking into this hidden billionaires, and it's a huge thing all over the world. There's this article is specifically speaking to Russia. There's tons of billionaires in Russia that we have no idea.
We have no
about.
idea how much Vladimir Putin is worth. He's probably worth
70 million minimum.
minimum. I'd say it's
Did you
way
say
more.
70 million?
Yeah, this article here.
Bro,
oh
70
no,
million
se-
is-
70 billion. Some estimates put Putin's net worth at 70 billion.
Yeah, not 70 million. Some
That would be. I mean, that's still a lot, but for Putin, that would be nothing. That would be chump change for him.
That's insane.
That is insane. Is that why he rules Russia? Because he has so much money, and because he's just terrible?
Oh yeah. I mean, but also the Russian people love him.
They adore him.
They
He's a very
adore
fierce
him as a
leader.
leader.
He's
They
very fierce.
absolutely adore him.
Well, they said, okay, so in this article they said 70 billion, and then it said 200 million. So what is it, guys?
Okay, first of all, 200 million wouldn't even make comprehend that. You think really?
Well,
he
no,
only
I
has
mean,
200
it
million
just
That's
on
dollars?
crazy.
the
How about the
picture, it
whole
had a thing.
Rothschild family? All of
yeah.
the siblings, each of them are a billionaire. Combined, their family is over $2 trillion of worth.
Who are those people again?
The Rothschilds.
No idea.
Yeah, they're the richest family.
They're
They
the world's
own.
Why?
richest family.
What
They're
do
a
they do?
bank. They're a trust company. The Rothschild. It's something bank related. I know that. They're
no
a
wonder
bank
they have a bunch of money
credit
then.
union. I want to say, or trust
It's
company.
a multinational investment bank and financial service
Yes.
company.
Yep, that's
Banks?
what.
In
And
2008.
they are controlled by
in-
French and British branches of the family.
I don't know if it was the. Was it just 2008? The banks took all the money when they shouldn't have and they should have helped
Well, it
out
was
the
the
people.
Ponzi schemes that really took.
Took a lot of it.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though, in history, where the banks went under and then the government had to save them, and the banks owed a bunch of people a bunch of money, and instead of paying those people back out, they gave themselves high raises and stuff like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. Was it the Ponzi scheme or something else? My
I
dad
mean,
complains about
yeah,
it all
it
the time.
was. Yeah, it was something related to that.
I think it was
because-
2008. I think
Yeah,
it was that
'cause
crash.
that's
Yeah,
what
it's around
started.
the crash, and I think it has to do.
Well, it had to do with the market. It had to do with the housing market crashing, and then the banks failed, and then the recession happened.
All right, yeah, guys, this has been an amazing conversation. We touched a lot of really, really interesting topics, and I really look forward to hearing maybe what some of our viewers have to say, or if you're liking the show, reach out to us and let us know. And we look forward to giving you more episodes. Stay tuned for this Friday. We have another amazing interview coming up, and we can't wait to drop that for you guys. And we're just in the works for creating more content and really, really opening on a multifaceted of conversations of many different topics. So have a great day, and
I challenge you for this week to get into uncomfortable conversations with people and really make sure that you listen to their opinion all the way through until they're done, and just think for a couple minutes about what they said and then respond.
And also, do not have these on social media. Have them in person.
yeah, that's the way to do it.
We need more human connection in
Ethan,
this
do you want
world.
to wrap us out with what you were saying
Agreed.
at the beginning? We got to work hard, and your mindset matters. I think that was a key thing in this episode. Is mindset is so important in who we are and shaping us. So, with that, I'm gonna leave you out here. Have a good day, folks. Peace.
Bye.